What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, and today I am going to make a video I thought I had already made. I'm almost convinced I had already made it, but either I didn't or I did and never uploaded it, or who knows. Maybe it's in an alternate universe, a multiverse. But anyways, I'm going to rank Frank Zappa's guitar players. The members, the guitar players that have played with Frank Zappa during an extended tour. So I'm not including people that maybe only appeared on an album, not include people who appeared really, really early on, that maybe we don't have a lot of like tapes of. So there's not like this extended sort of like, material to draw from. Not doing Dweezil because he was pretty much just a guest guitarist, not doing Al Di Meola, any of those kind of things. Just the people who were regular guitar players in a Frank Zappa touring band. By my count, there were 10 of them. Looking at this list, like the bottom four, I mean, like, I'm just like, yeah, I know they were there. I know they provide, you can hear the little bit of rhythm guitar sometimes, like you can feel it in the mix, but I don't really know what impact they had on it. I don't know. It'll play out, obviously, as we go. So anyways, but that's it. This is just my ranking. And a lot of this is like, not even like, it's definitely not a reflection on the guitar player as much as it is a reflection on what Frank allowed this guitar player to do, since they were in the Frank band. And guitar players weren't given as much sort of leash as, they weren't given as much space to explore, I think, as, other players in Frank's band frequently were. So yeah, so I think this is a good list. I'm happy with it. But anyways, yeah, let's get on to it. We're just going to run straight through. Number 10 is that guy right there. That's Lowell George. He was in the 69 Mothers. You can hear him doing a German accent on a number of different things. Weasels Rip My Flesh, you can hear it. You Can't Do That on Stage, Volume 5, the pretty entertaining German Lunch. But as far as what he did on guitar, like, I know I have tapes where I'm sure he gets a moment to solo and strut his stuff. But I don't, nothing jumps to mind right away, and that's probably a failing on my part. But I don't think, as a guitar player, he had much effect on the 69 Mothers. So that's why he's at number 10. Number 9, it's that guy. That's Ike Willis. Ike Willis was not in Frank's band for his guitar skills, though he definitely could hold his own and was a good rhythm player. Every once in a while, I think he got a chance to like get like a 4-bar solo, like, really quick, just almost obligatory, and things like, I think maybe Penguin and Bondages later on, maybe a Cosmic Debris in like 79. I'm sure there were a number of songs where he just got this little short little solo that he was able to like, just to make him happy. But again, he is not in the band because of his guitar playing. He's in the band because he can sing. And his voice makes, Lucille, Outside Now, there were songs that are iconic because of Ike Willis's voice. So when I do the singers, he's going to be higher than number 9 on that list. That is for sure. But as far as his overall effect on the band, as far as his guitar playing, not sure there was much. Frank had him play some rhythm guitar, and every once in a while gave him a solo, while he was doing his awesome singing duties. I went back and forth for these next two, but I think I ultimately, one thing changed my mind. We'll get to that on number 7. Number 8 is that guy right there. He's also on the bass player list because he did both. He was in playing bass in 70, quit, inspired a whole bunch of music, a whole album essentially was, he helped create by leaving the band, by quitting the band. And he came back in 74 for the first 2 74 tours. I think a little bit of the summer fall tour at the very, very beginning. Maybe not. I forget. But yeah, those first 2 tours, and you can definitely, when you're hearing it, those were definitely percussion-heavy tours. You had 3 drummers, a percussionist and 2 drummers. You had horns coming in there. But he does provide a little bit of meat, a little bit of energy. He's a pretty good guitar player. His solo album, if you haven't checked that out, is a really good solo album. The first one, Lucille, has messed my mind up. But as far as what he's actually lending to those bands, other than like, there are early versions of like Andy or Florentine Pogan where like, oh yeah, there's Simmons' guitar. He's adding a little bit of a heft to this. But again, in an era dominated by that sort of 3 drummer sound and a little more horny arrangements and some funk. He wasn't as like dominant as one would expect, at least what I remember, what I take from those tours. But I do enjoy him, and when I do catch his guitar, I'm like, oh yeah, there's some Simmons, there's a little muscle right there. Um, this next one, number 7, that guy right there, that's Warren Cucurullo. Um, yeah, he was in the band for the '79 tour, and he is all the way up to number 7, pretty much for one reason and one reason only: that intro on Dead Girls of London. And on guitar, and Sophia Warren on guitar. That is just one of the most awesome guitar solo band introductions. First song, one of the first songs ever. Like on the band introductions or introductions of the band, diseases of the band on stage 1. After he goes in Sophia Warren on guitar, it goes into that Dead Girls of London riff. He also provides a little bit of muscle to a very keyboard dominated sound with Mars and Wolf kind of, and Ed Mann kind of dominating the sound of that band, Vinny B and Vinny. Every once in a while you can hear him. He's definitely also provides a little bit of muscle to that band. But really, he makes it all the way up this side just on the strength of that Dead Girls of London riff, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And he also provides maybe like the first of like looking forward to like the Steve Vai energy. Like he's definitely nowhere near as weird and out there and eccentric as blues stuff was, and he's leaning a little bit more towards like a Steve Vai type metal edge, but he's kind of in between there the times you can catch him. But yeah, again, underused by Frank. Number 6, that guy, Mike Keneally on the '88 tour, stunt guitar and all that stuff. Another underused person, but I think there are a lot of instances throughout the things that have been officially released in '88 that you can kind of hear him stepping up a little more than maybe some other people. On the what is it? He gets a pretty nice little solo on the last show in the U.S. On that, I think at the end of Pound for a Brown is pretty nice. And he just, the Stairway to Heaven thing is awesome. So while that was a horn-heavy tour, he does get moments to step up and shine and do some cool stuff. He also messed around with the synclavier. He also did some vocals. But I think out of these, I think you can almost take Cucurullo, Simmons, Willis, and Lowell out of those bands, and you don't notice much loss other than maybe a solo or two. I think Keneally adds a little more heft because I'm assuming he was doing more of the heavy lifting than Ike Willis was on that tour. So he's all the way up to number 6. Number 5, that guy, Adrian Belew, right there. Look at Adrian. These top 5, it was hard. Adrian Belew adds a lot of really nice atmospherics to things. He does get a lot of little mini solos, like the beginning of Muffin Man. He gets the awesome epic solo in Wild Love. He adds a lot of just really, really good flavor to that band. Again, this is 77, 78, fall 77, winter 78. Again, a very keyboard dominated band with Mars and Wolf. But again, Belew has his moments, and he definitely provides that Belew sort of flavor to a lot of things, sort of like weird background noises and just ambiance with weird guitar sounds. And plus just that Wild Love, that whole Wild Love thing is just absolutely fantastic, that solo. So number 5, Adrian Belew. Number 4, Ray White. His guitar playing is pretty much up here because of that 76 and those 77 tours, just his presence. I like the City of Tiny Lights from that era quite a bit. When I think of like certain songs belonging to certain people, City of Tiny Lights to me always seems like a Ray White song. He gets a lot of solos. He does that where he sings along as he plays. He gets a lot in all of his tours. He generally got more time to solo and lengthier solos. You can hear him on King Kong, that you can't do that on stage, Volume 3 version of King Kong. He gets a nice solo on there. So he just got, Frank must have had a higher opinion of his chops than maybe some of these other people, because Ray really definitely got more time to stretch out and do his thing than other people. And like the City of Tiny Lights alone, he makes it all the way up here. I went back and forth on Adrian and Ray for a while. But and maybe on another day I put Adrian at 4 and Ray at 5. But I'm really leaning into that like City of Tiny Lights energy that Ray brings. And for some reason, like on the following tour when Adrian was in the band, Frank sort of turned that over to the drummer and the keyboardist to drive the City of Tiny Lights. But yeah, Ray White at number 4. Number 2 and number 3 are here because I absolutely love slide guitar and Frank's use of slide guitar. Number 3 is that guy, Danny Wally. Apparently somewhat problematic. Apparently he is the inspiration for Jumbo Go Way, and not a good way. But I don't know if there's truth to that. So, or what exactly that involved. But as a guitar player, as a slide guitar player, there are moments on Fall 78 songs I generally don't like that he, like Bamboozled by Love, that his guitar playing absolutely saves and makes me like those performances. He was on the Bongo Fury tour also. But yeah, his just slide guitar. I love slide guitar. I love what it brings to Frank's music. I'm not a big fan of Frank doing the blues stuff. I just don't think it's mostly all that interesting. But Wally's contributions to it and what he brings, it's not Denny's fault. But amazing guitar playing. And that Fall 78 tour, listening to the Chicago 78 tour, like at the tail end of the first disc, there are a couple songs where his guitar just dominates, and it is pretty awesome. Number 2, continuing the slide guitar trend, Tony Duran from the Wazoo tours of 72. Just absolutely ridiculous solos and ridiculous playing. You can hear him on that opening. You can hear him also on, I think, right, the Grand Wazoo, that opening solo on Grand Wazoo, the title track. Just, yeah, man, just an awesome. And Frank gives him a lot of time to stretch out on those live shows. Several, like I think 2 on each release, maybe more, of all those Wazoo tours where Duran just gets to solo his butt off, and he is good. And he seems to just fit right in with the whole vibe, and just awesome playing. And then number 1, I think this was obvious, right? I mean, you all knew who number 1 was. That guy. Yeah, the blue-haired dude, Steve Vai. Like, absolutely helped redefine Frank's sound in, like, the early 80s. Like, I think so many of those, like, very, like, those compositions and the way the lines run together and all those runs of like Drowning Witch and the Return of Envelopes and What's New in Baltimore and Maggio and all those kind of things that were like those instrumental passages of like the early 80s seem to be inspired by Vai. Definitely Vai's sort of like that sort of blue experiment, but with a much more heavier sort of metallic energy and just a skill set that was just phenomenal. Like definitely pushed Frank's guitar playing to like the last peaks of his career. 82 was definitely like the final peak, with 84 and 88 being somewhat disappointments after the awesomeness of 82. And you got to credit Vi for that. I mean, he's even got his own song, Stevie Spankin', right? So yeah, man, just phenomenal. Yeah, that's it. That's how I would very quickly rank these 10 guitar players. Other than, like, I think Steve Vai had the biggest effect. Tony Duran, I'm not sure how much he dictated how that band sounded. Probably not at all, because it was the sort of petite wazoo and grand wazoo with all the horns. His solos are so good. Denny's good to slide, save some songs. Ray also and Adrian had bigger contributions. And then I would say the last 5, Mike, Cucurullo, Simmons, Willis, and George were underused. At least my memory right here on a cold morning is that they were somewhat underused, and overpowered by other elements of the Mothers of Invention that Frank always kind of leaned into. But yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, let me know what I messed up on, what I'm wrong about. Send who is better, who I need to reconsider. Yeah, you know how list comments work. So make a comment. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, share, go listen to music. And it's almost going to be a holiday here. So whenever you're watching this, whatever the next closest holiday is to you, I hope it's a great one, people. And I hope it's warmer than it is here in Texas, and drier, because it's wet and cold. Miserable. All right. That's it. Thanks for watching, people. Talk to you later.